Okay, I think we're live. I'm going to go ahead and start. So we're just making a rig for Santa Claus here in Moho. I was in a good mood. I don't feel like I'm really in a good mood anymore, but that's fine. So I've got a couple things taken care of there. Okay, and now I'm going to come over, and first things first is we got to turn our main layer for Santa. This guy here can move around. And we're going to make that into a bone layer. So hopefully we won't have any crashes and weird stuff because everything's been kind of acting a little funky today. And that might be for a few reasons. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the internet there. And then I'm just going to kind of start adding bones here for him. So we'll start here with our root bone, like so. We'll start adding just the standards. That one should probably be a little, I don't know, maybe more here. He doesn't really need a neck bone, but we'll give him one anyway. And I'm thinking while I'm here, I might as well add just a couple here for the hat. And we'll go back to the chest bone. Oops. And add some arm bones here. I've already got graphic issues, so that's great. I don't know what it is about Moho that there are so many graphic display errors, it seems, all the time. For me, at least. I don't really have time for those things. Not that anybody else does either, but it's a little annoying. Always have to be worrying about things like that. Okay, now we'll come down, grab our legs. We're just doing thighs on this guy. There may be more leg and feet and so forth added later on. I'm not going to work on the head and stuff like that until we get all of this standard stuff sorted out. So first things first, let's start binding some stuff here. The head, what we're going to stick directly to head bone is pretty much everything except for these hat pieces, or the hat at all. And we're going to do the face and the head layer and that kind of stuff. So let's start with just kind of looking down here. I think the hat brim can be directly bound to that head bone because it's not going to move separately. The hat shadow as well. The hat ball will, let's just go into these. We're going to take the hat ball and we're going to bind that to that end bone here. So we'll pick the bone using point binding and just grab all of this here. We probably could have layer bound that. It's fine. And then we're going to go to the shadow for that and just grab that around. You can see I'm not getting fantastic resolution here. I'm going to bind the shadow directly to that. Hat ball's done. Let's go to the hat. Now this is going to have separate bones, obviously, for it. So the first set with that bone and the end there is going to be all these. Probably that would be fine. We're going to move up the chain to these here. I usually don't like to go to the base of these bones so that it flexes a little more natural. Otherwise it starts doing the weird pinching and stuff. So the rest of the hat now is going to bind to the head bone. So we're just going to take this stuff and get everything else. If my mouse will cooperate. Something is going on with Moho that's running pretty slow for no reason. So you bind those. I'm going to go ahead and save often just because I know how Moho can be. And we're going to go with the brows here. Those can bind directly, so I'm just going to do a layer bind to the head bone for that, and also for the brow right. These may change later, but you can always change your mind after the fact if you start having trouble animating. So the whole mustache, since he's not going to be turning his head super far, the nose tip can go, the nose bridge can go. These are all just separate pieces of the face that allow me to raise lower and turn left and right. The eye lines for this side can go there. The eye itself, obviously. The shadow for the eye. And the eye lines. I think I have my styles maybe turned off. I'm not sure. The eye right here, because there's no blend here. The eye shadow here. Doesn't say that there is any styles on there, which is a little weird, but I might have turned it off because I had other problems the other day. So let's see, top lip, bottom lip. We'll eventually need an inner mouth on this, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I think the chin beard, we're going to bind that whole thing. I think, you know what, I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna do that for other bones, I think, because it's gonna need something that kind of wiggles that around. So we're gonna go with the head bone there. I'm gonna create another bone for that right here in the bone layer. With the head bone selected, of course, I'm just going to create another bone here, and let's just do another one that goes to the end, and that way we can come back down to this chin beard and mount some of these points here, bind some of these points here. So we'll select this bone and we'll take the base here, that extra one's fine. Bind those, go now with the chin beard bones, which will be this one coming down. We're going to, so let me grab the bone first. This guy, I think. Yep. And then now we'll grab the points for it, and it's going to be these. Bind those. And these. For anybody interested, I'm looking for a new computer. So if you got an extra $4,000 to throw my way as a tip, I'm totally open to that. Okay, and buying points here. Got to get stuff running faster, and so on and so on. So for this beard, I was thinking about adding quite a lot of bones, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be needing to animate this like that. It doesn't need to whip around. He's literally going to stand up or he's going to kind of look and laugh, and then he's going to be in a sleigh at one point. It'll probably be a completely different Santa. And then there will be another version of him that he can turn. He'll be turned crouching on the ground. So I think I'm just going to leave these parented to the face and the body and stuff. So I'm going to go into this beard mane here. And I think, you know what, we didn't do the chin beard shadow. So let's get that parented just to the head. So we can just grab that and go boink. So the main beard now, as far as parenting that to the face bone, I'm going to leave all of that to probably, let's go ahead and include that. And this is just the one side of the beard here. So grab all of those, bind those. If we need to change this later, we can. I'm not going to probably do anything to the neck, so I'm going to go straight to the chest bone and just kind of add these guys Probably the rest of them now that I think about it. So let's just... These will just move solid with the chest. I'm not worried about them turning and stuff for this main, you know, kind of like first shot. So we're just going to grab... What are we going to grab? These here. All the way around, I think, is fine. Just everything up to that point. Nope, it grabbed everything, so we're just going to try that again. All the way around to this point. Sometimes it gets confused, so there we go. That works for there. The shadow for that side now needs to have the same treatment, so we'll grab the head bone and we'll do... yeah, let's go just down to this one too. Grab all those, bind those. We'll just put everything else at the chest again, because that's not really going to go past that. There we go, and we'll bind those to there. Now the beard main right, or I'm sorry, the beard main left does not have a shadow, doesn't need one. So we're just going to take the head bone, bind the top points to that. I'm going to turn off my desktop audio. I'm not sure if you guys are getting duplicate audio there, so I'll fix that. And let's see, we're going to bind these points to the head, which is going to be pretty much just the base top part here of the beard. We might as well include that one. Don't want to leave that guy out. We could have, but that, I don't think we needed to add that to the chest. So now we select our chest bone and just get these rest of these dudes in here and bind those. Okay, so the beard's done. This beard main middle, we definitely need. I'm going to put the top 2 points to the head bone, though, not the neck like it looks like they should be. That way this controls these the end when the head moves. And then the next, I guess, can just all be to the chest. That's fine. All the rest of them, so... and then bind those. I think I'm going to add one more point right here just in case this gets kind of weird. Gives this a little more control. So grab the points. Now and just include this one to that head bone or that chest bone. Okay, I'm going to close these up. And now we've got sideburn on that side, sideburn left. We're running really slow for some reason. I've got this cached and everything, but I'm not sure if turning the cache off. Ooh, that looks like it's giving me even more problems. Put that back on for now. We're just going to stick this with the head bone. The other sideburn will be to the head. The head shadow can be, yeah, let's just do it to the head. The head itself will be to the head. The ear can be to the head, and obviously the other one. Let's see where this buckle now needs to be. There we go. And that's going to be obviously to the belly or the torso there, the lower torso bone, the belly bone. We'll just straight bind that. It can move on its own like that. The belt is going to be probably with the belly bone, I think. I don't think there's any reason that it needs to be to the root or mounted to that root bone. So that's fine. Let's see. Coat for chest. This is obviously going to need multiples. So the top part of this is going to be to the, in my opinion, the chest bone. So let's just go ahead and grab all these points all the way down. We might as well throw the whole thing on there because we don't want it moving really. I mean, I might exclude those lower points now that I think about it. just so it attaches to the lower fur, but that's easy to do now. We just go down to the fur belly, we grab the belly bone, and now we're going to grab these points. And I think I'm going to grab all but the ending. I think this will be fine like that. Bind those. And then I'm going to grab the other chest bone here and mount the remainders of these to the upper. That way they can bend together and have a little bend as opposed to just shifting apart. And then the coat for chest again, we can go ahead and make sure that we're going to select the belly bone for that and just associate these lower ones just so we have a contact point here to that, something like that. Bind those. And now that should work well. So then the fur coat tails, that's the fur for that coat tail on that side. This will be associated with the belly bone pretty much. Yeah, that works here. And then I'm going to make the rest of it probably associated with this leg bone. That when that leg is moved, it moves it instead of when the root bone is moved. So that would make sense. And then the coat tail, the other side is going to be with the other. See, back to the belly bone here, and then back we will associate, I guess, these like so. Maybe even that one. Yeah, I think that's fine. We'll just grab that one too. Ugh, I hate when it over selects. Moho, what are you doing? Okay, we'll bind those, and then we'll grab this leg, and we're going to go ahead and pull all these to that leg. Now the coat tail front left is this piece here, and that's going to be bound to the root bone, I think. No, let's bind it to the belly bone at the top of it. This portion. I think that is better because it's going to bend back and forth now. And then the rest of this can be to the leg. So we'll grab all the rest of these. Just stick them to the leg. Might need another one right here. We'll see. If not, it'll just morph really far, which is totally cool. Let's go with the coat tail right. This one's going to have a shadow on it as well. So we'll go here. Coat tail right. We're going to select the belly bone for it. And grab these upper ones here. Bind those. And then the leg bone is going to get the others for this. And then we're going to grab the shadow and make sure that we use the belly. Grab all these. Probably the uppers can be moved with the belly, I guess. Actually, no. Those should just be these. And then we will grab the leg bone and associate these. That way when that whole flap moves, it moves all together. Okay, that looks good. And then the arm. So arm upper right. Oops. We're going to grab the arm. I'm going to grab the chest bone for this to start with. And just attach like these particular ones. And we're going to grab the upper arm bone. And we're going to grab these dudes, but not the bottom ones. Those are going to be attached to the forearm. Bind those, and then we're going to grab the forearm and bind these points of the upper arm to it. Okay, and then the shadow for that upper arm, we'll now use the chest bone. No, let's use just the upper arm bone for that. That will be these guys. I think we'll be fine there. And then this here. Let's use all these. Bind those. And then we're going to go to the arm upper right. And we'll select that bone. Why? We'll grab the chest bone. Why?
I got that coffee pot nuggets.
And I'm going to put these, probably this one too. And we're going to bind those. And then I'm going to select the upper arm. And I'm going to go off all of these. Probably like that. Nope, not like that. Like this. And then the forearm will include these. All right, and then now the shadow for this part of the arm will be the upper. We're just going to stick all of this in there because I can obviously do a smart bone more for something if I need to for the other. So point bind those. We're going to bind to the forearm now for the shadow. Upper arm like this. Bind those. Okay, moving on now to the torso. This is the one half the torso. I made it in two halves just because when he turns, I probably should have just done one, but it's fine. He's not going to really be turning in the shot that I have this set up for. So the torso is going to mostly be the chest bone. And I'm going to just grab all of this except for the lower ones. I think will work. We'll bind those. Actually, though, because the belly needs to be bound to this one. So we're going to make sure these at least are... Let me just see. Yeah, let's do all of the lower ones. Need to be on the belly. I considered this root bone, but that's just going to move our handle around. So the shadow here is going to be bound to both the upper and lower. So I'm just going to grab this bone and then tell it what to move, which will be these. And then we're going to grab the belly. It's a lot of work just to make Santa, you know, move around a little bit. But every one of these shots is requiring a lot of work. So the torso right now, we will grab this for. I'm going to grab all of these, probably like that. Bind those points to that bone, and then grab this bone. And move these belly points with it. Cool. All right, and now we'll do legs. I don't feel like I did hands or anything, so we're gonna have to go all the way back up to the top here in a bit. But leg left, let's go here with the shadow. I think that's going to move completely with this leg, so we can just layer bind that. Pow. And the leg left itself, we probably do not need to bind that to anything else because he's not going to be doing the splits or running and jumping. And we're going to do the same thing with the leg right. The shadow for it will be just to that bone, and the leg itself will also be just there. His hair, not his hairy back, but the back part of his hair will be bound to this, and the back hair right will also be bound to this. Now we can check for hands and stuff, because I don't think I did those. Let's go ahead and go all the way up to the top. I think I missed arms altogether. So forearm cuff of that one is going to be bound, I think, and completely be to this guy, unless we need some kind of smart bone for movement of that. The shadow of it as well. The arm cuff over here can be to the shadow can be directly to this bone, and the forearm cuff as well. You can see how that's black. That's one of those graphic anomalies I was talking about. Moho's got a lot of that. The forearm left, we're just going to go for the straight forearm itself. That seems to include a cuff that I don't want. So I'm just going to grab that for one and delete that. I don't know why we have another outline for that. I'm going to test this though. I think that's just an extra. So the forearm here, I don't believe, other than the top, that needs to be associated with anything else. But it cannot be a layer bind. So we're just going to pick this. We're going to do everything except for the top ones. And that'll be fine. Yeah, maybe like that. And then the bone here, we'll get the top points, just so we can make that sort of stick as the arm moves. And then the shadow, of course, will need to be both bones as well. So we're going to grab that top bone with these points here, not that, but just these. And the next bone down will be this one for these points. Bind those. The other forearm now, shadow, whoops, I keep doing that, will be, the bone will be this one. Everything except the top couple or so. That's probably fine. In fact, we could take all of those there except for the top two. Bind those. And this one here will be these. And the forearm itself, the top view are going to be these. And the next bone that is the major part of the forearm will be all of these. But you know what? We got to get rid of this other extra. I don't know why there is an extra cuff in there. Just grab that. Get rid of it. That had to do with my copy and pasting and stuff, I think, originally. I can't tell if that's his belly or what there, so we'll need to figure that out too. But this will be associated with the forearm bone right here now. Cool. We've already got the cuffs done. So the hands now, those have to be separately bound because the thumb there. So the shadow for this one, I think, can be totally layer bound because this will only be affected by here. We can move it if we need for the thumb. This is going to be separate, so we're going to use that first. Hand bone is going to be everything except for the thumb points, like that. We're going to bind those. We're going to come over here and say thumb bone. I think that was a song back in the day. You go ahead and use these. Boom. The shadow now we already took care of. So the other hand shadow is going to be layer bound to this bone. And then the hand itself is going to get everything except for the thumb points, which are those. Nope, it got everything, including those. Hang on. Get those, bind those, and then we'll switch bones to the thumb bone and grab those remaining ones. Bind those. Let's see. I think we got everything now. So don't get your hopes up, because more than likely there'll be issues, obviously. We're going to go back to the Santa layer. Start manipulating it. We do have to select all the bones. Let's get all of them. I'll just draw slower because things are running a little slow. It's getting real choppy on that selection. And we're going to take our strength of all these bones and just wipe them all down. And now we can manipulate and see what happens. So this is the head. Not horrible. The hat. Obviously we're going to need some correction there. It's not going to be flying around by itself hardly though or anything. So we might not even need to correct that. That's about as much as we're going to get there. And then let's see if this beard, did I actually bind these? The beard here, that's fine. The mustache is bound straight. We'll just do some point animation on that if we need to. Let's check the arms. That's okay, but I don't know what's up with this body. I think it's because I left off the body shadow as far as it being clipped out. So let's go with the body as soon as I find it. It's the body shadow, the torso shadow. So you can see this torso shadow that is to right should be combined with this torso here. So we're going to group those. And we're going to say, call this torso. And everything should be good because all of that linking should still apply. We're just masking here, so we'll just mask that, hide all. And we go ahead and turn on our bottom layer the keep the strokes though. So now we'll double check this again by going back up to the top. You can see how many layers there are in this crazy Santa guy. He looks simple, but it's a very complex rig, even it being simple. So now the arm moves. We do have that completely masked off. This one's going to be the one that looks bad. We may not have to do much to this because, you know, he's just going to grab his belly and laugh or something. That's a little skinny of an arm in my opinion. The hand moves. The thumb moves. This thumb moves. The hand moves. Everything moves with it. This works. Just need a little forearm work there. Okay, that's working for me. Let's check the body movement now. That's not bad. It needs a little adjustment there. We're not really going to be moving the neck at all, but I just always like to check everything. There's a little bit of crinkling there. This one is totally fine, I think, because these move with the legs. That needs to be mounted to the, like this one is, to the belly bone. But I think for the most part those work. It looks like we got a little bit of a line left off here. So let's fix that. That's going to be on the torso, I believe. We're just going to go back down to it. First things first. The torso left or right. Shadow, torso. Nope, that's going to be on the coat first. So let's find out where we put that. Fur belly is not it. Fur coat for chest, that's the one. So we need to associate these points here, right here, with our bones. So let's just pick the bone. These are supposed to be on. This one says it's got these, but we left the other ones out. So I'm just going to grab the rest of these and bind those directly to that bone too. The other problem we had, we need some smart bones, but it was the coat tail left that these all got bound to the leg bone. So we're going to go and select these points at the top here and make sure those are bound to that belly bone. We'll check this one more time and make sure that this works. And then we move the leg, it works better. Okay, those will need to be adjusted if we do anything that way. The arms are the things that really need any type of a true adjustment. So we'll go back up to our bone layer here and create a couple of actions. Not for the bones here, but for the forearms. So we're just going to start off, we're going to name this forearm right and forearm left just to make this easy. We have to create a dial, I guess, a smart bone. Well, I guess it can work like a smart bone dial, just a smart bone action, 2 actions for this bone. So it's not really a dial we're doing. So we're just going to create that. We're going to go to frame 0, have that one selected. It's not a dial, it's just an action. We're going to say forearm right, and it's going to be the forearm right 1. I'm just going to bring it to 48 frames and move this outward. You can see how ugly that's going to get. And we just straighten that out in the layer. For the forearm, we don't need to do the cuff. We're just going to do the forearm itself, being forearm right. And we can grab our points that need to be fixed and do that. There we go, looking better. Just ignore the black. That is that graphic anomaly stuff that really bugs. Okay, so let's now try and find out where these go. This is just gonna bring our shadow around a little bit. Okay, these need to be all linear, as do the ones for the forearm. Then we need to make the bone movement linear as well. Let's check and see how this is looking. That forearm could use a little work right through, probably right through here. I'll stick a little adjustment right here. We don't want to make him look like Arnold or anything, so not that that's a bad thing if Arnold's watching. Alright, so these also need to be made linear. If this was shadow, okay, I think that's right. Shadow does need to be fixed. So we'll go there. That needs to be linear as well. And let's go ahead and grab the actual bone movement. You can see these are not linear and they need to be. Now we need to do the arm, the upper arm for this. This is all just one movement, one direction. For anybody watching who's amazed by the complexity of something so simple. Let's try the arm upper right. Here we're going to adjust this shadow. Those obviously get linear. Move this up to 24 to 48 now, where it's going to be the end of it. And this also needs to be fixed and fixed. This is the actual upper arm. Pull those out. He's got a little beef to him. We don't want that to look skimpy. All right, so that works. I think that should be here. I'm not sure though. Let's double check. Yep. So right about here now, need to correct this elbow a little. Maybe even that guy. These all need to stay linear. We'll move this up. Okay, the shadow obviously needs work. You can see it here. Once again, this is all just for one direction of one limb. It's a lot of work. In case you guys were wondering, we're going to grab the point moving tool here, the transform point tool. And I'm going to now make that linear too. So as you work, everything has to stay linear within your actions unless there's a specific reason not to. All right, so that's the arm going this way. We probably will never go that high because it looks like he's broken his arm. But if we needed to move this around, we can. So back out of that, we're going to now do a forearm 2 bone movement, which will also need to be corrected on all levels. And now we're going to create a new action for that one. Forearm R2, back up to frame 48 there. We're going to move this one inward this time. Okay, that obviously needs to be made linear. And we'll come down to the forearm for the R, the right forearm. We're going to grab the points and get them situated correctly now. Make those linear. See how the movement is going so far. It's not horrible for the forearm. I think everything is pretty good. I'm going to go to the shadow now, though, and we're going to adjust it slightly.